I have, let's see, a motion to adjourn from our executive session.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Okay, Chris? Yes. Okay, the executive session part of the meeting has adjourned. Apologize that you all had to wait so long. Let's go to... Okay, Chris, could you call the roll, please?
Mrs. Stetzel?
Oh, shoot. Here.
Mr. Yoshimura?
Here.
Ms. Bradley?
Here.
Mr. Gilbert?
Here.
Mr. Betzel?
Here. Thank you.
Guys, you can join the 6:30 meeting now. Mhm. Okay, would everybody please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Since we already did the roll call, I'm going to go ahead and click through that. But we got to wait for Joe. Okay, tonight is actually a work session, but we do have a couple things that we need to get started on before the work session. So tonight we have from OSBA, we have special recognition, Leo Lucas Scholarship.
Good evening, everyone. It is my honor to present Mr. Al Long, North College Hills School Board member, who will be presenting on behalf of the OSBA, which is the Ohio School Board Association. Let's welcome Mr. Long.
Thank you all. It's really neat to have applause. They don't clap for me in North College Hills, so thank you. I am here today on behalf of the Ohio School Board Association's Black Caucus Committee. We spent the better part of 2 days going through hundreds of scholarships and Northwest School District. I think you all had several scholarship applicants for our Leo Lucas Scholarship, and you had one young lady that stood out more than others. I was telling the parents before that in our region, and we are Southwest region for the Ohio School Board Association, they do not allow board members from the Southwest to go through the scholarships, partly because, we'll show favoritism to our district. And from what I was told about this young lady's application, her package, and her essay, it was outstanding. So I probably would have been biased had I read it, but fortunately, those that did read it, they saw the right thing to do. So on behalf of the Ohio School Board Association's Black Caucus Committee, I would like to congratulate Ms. Krista Miller for being the winner of the Southwest Region's Leo Lucas Scholarship, which also comes with this neat certificate as well as a $500 scholarship. Thank you very much.
I would like to say thank you to everyone here. Thank you to my parents, Chris and Tracy Miller, and my sister, Janisa. I am very grateful and very thankful for the scholarship, so thank you all.
Congrats. You wanna go? Great job, congratulations. I didn't even have to ask you to introduce who came with you. You did it on your own. Mom and dad and sister, great job.
I'd like to take this opportunity to have everyone that's with your party come out in the hallway. We'll take a group photo. That is a chance also, if you'd like to exit at that point, you can, but we'd love to have you come back in. But if we go take a group photo, that'd be great.
Thank you. Okay, we also have a special presentation tonight, new elementary building experiences.
Hello, my name is Stephanie Kessling. I am the Director of Curriculum, and I would like to introduce our elementary principals. We're going to start with Taylor Elementary, Mrs. Reilly, Lori Reilly, if she'd come up and introduce her staff. They're going to be sharing information and some photos from the new building and the new building design and how they're actually using it in the classroom each and every day. So, Lori Reilly.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us this evening. I am excited to show off part of our new building. Today I have with me Noelle Georgiantonis and Rebecca Whirling. Noelle is a fourth grade teacher in our building, and Rebecca is the reading specialist, and they're going to highlight 3 different aspects of the new buildings that we love and utilize a lot. We brought you some visuals to kind of entertain you as we talk.
Good evening. I'm going to speak about the extended learning areas. And if you haven't been in the elementary buildings, each grade level in between their rooms has an open area that can be used for a variety of purposes. They're called extended learning areas. We are the Taylor Tigers, so we've been referring to ours as the dens. So this is a picture. One of the things that we can use the areas for is for students to be able to just have some extra space. So this is a group of fourth graders working on an extra math project. And so they've just been able to go out there and kind of get away from the other kids in the classroom and have some just quiet time with themselves and working on this project. And I'm not sure who, oh, you're clicking, okay. And then it also is a great area just for kids to have some more quiet time for reading if they just need a little private area. And you can see there's also a beautiful view that they get to look out through the windows. As the reading specialist, I have, we do a lot of title reading groups, and so this is also an area that we can use for those groups just to give them some extra tutoring and some extra practice for their reading and their math. And then our volunteers are able to also pull students quickly out of the classroom and just use that extra area there to do some one-on-one tutoring sometimes.
Okay, the first thing I am going to talk about is the self-serving cafeteria lines that we have at Taylor. To be honest, when we all first heard, the adults of the building, that these kids were going to serve themselves, even teaching fourth grade, I was a little stressed. The portions, the mess, the waste, and overall, it has been amazing. The kids are taking what they are going to eat. They are not wasting their food. They're getting through the lines quickly, and it works. They are enjoying it. The pictures just kind of go along with it. They don't pick everything they get to eat, but they get to pick their sides. And being in the lunchroom, it's actually really cool to see how many kids choose extra spoonfuls of vegetables or fruit that they would not normally get if they were serving themselves. He loves it. Keep going. And the slide. The slide was something that was added to our buildings that technically we did not need for learning, but as a building, we use it all of the time. It's used by all different people for all different reasons, and it's more than anything a very quick incentive for our kids. It's, if you're not familiar, it starts on the main level and goes down to the library. Our librarian uses it often as reading goal incentives or just kind of reading library rewards. Anything to get the kids motivated to be reading when they're in their library and when they're leaving is awesome. As a fourth grade teacher, I was like, there's no way that this is going to pull our kids in. They're not going to be excited if I offer them a slide reward if they do something. They love it. They love it, I think, almost as much as the kindergartners and first graders love it. You can pretty much get them motivated to do just about anything when you offer up the slide. There's some kids enjoying the slide. And then this is a video we added. The kids know why they get to use the slide. It's not just used.
What are you guys doing? Yeah. What are you doing?
We're going down the slide.
It's fun. Why are you guys going down the slide?
Because it's so fun. Because we're good.
I'm hoping everyone's aware, and they may not be, but the three buildings are built identical. So, so we have a group of teachers from each building presenting this evening, even though each of the areas have extended learning areas and also the slides and the self-serve. So next we have Casey Schurz and Jamel Weathers, co-principals at PRE, and their teachers.
Well, hello, thank you guys. Board, thank you for having us tonight. We appreciate it. We have two teachers with us tonight. We have Jill Dykeisen and Angie Smith. They're a fourth grade team that they're going to highlight with you, kind of the teaming collaboration. So we'll go ahead and let them get started with the explanation of their classroom.
All right, you want to go?
Sure.
Okay.
All right. So this is our first year actually working together in fourth grade. I've previously been a fifth grade teacher. And we decided, after talking this summer, we had actually gone to Casey before school ended last year and said we would like to open up our wall because every 2 classrooms, I guess is a good way of saying it, has one wall that will open so that you can have one large learning environment. So we decided that we would like to team teach, which I'd done before with a special ed teacher, and Jill was willing to try it. Sure. She just goes with it. So we decided that we would teach together. So in the morning, I teach math to, I think we're down a few kids.
With 60.
Yeah, we started with about 60 kids and 2 adults. And we're down a little bit less than that. And then in the after specials, we teach language arts, and then we have various different things going on in the afternoon. So we called it an experiment because it was an experiment, and we'll see if we're allowed to do it next year. So our why as to why we did this, like we said, the building itself lends itself to collaboration. So it was something that was easy to set up. We just opened the wall, arranged the seating so that it's spread across. Our students, it doesn't matter who technically they're in homeroom with.
They don't even know, I think. They don't know.
They just come in, they go to where their seat is, and it's great. We move kids around wherever we need to. We both have taught all subject areas, so if I'm teaching math, she's more than capable, obviously, of teaching a math group, and I do the same for reading. So it was easy to plan. We bounce ideas off each other. And then we also integrate all of our curriculum. So while she's teaching language arts, we'll pull in science, we pull social studies, to make sure students are getting all of those subject areas. And the nicest part is anytime there's an issue, if I'm teaching, she handles it, just takes the kid out, talks to him, does what needs to be done.
And the teaching continues.
And we
with
just
her.
keep teaching. So we are not losing class time for any major discipline issues on a regular basis.
I'll go ahead.
You can go ahead.
The benefits, again, this is an experiment, and we just sat down and brainstormed throughout the year, just reflected back on our year. Time on task is a huge thing. I know in the past, our biggest issue has been having to stop teaching to deal with discipline or other issues that arise. And so we can keep kids on task, we keep going. Like she said, if I'm teaching and there's an emergency, she can go handle that emergency, and the rest of the kids and we keep learning. We can monitor their behavior sheets as we go through instead of having to stop and mark something. Answer questions privately. A lot of times kids say that, well, they won't tell us they're confused because of how big it is and all the kids there. So if she's walking around or I'm walking around, we can spot those students having trouble and attend to them in private or kneel down next to their desk and ask them what's troubling them in private, as well as spotting mistakes that they're making and talk to them about that.
Again, we said the teaching never stops. We always have somebody pulling a group. Sometimes we have a special ed teacher comes that pulls kids. We've had reading specialists in our room this year. We've had math groups. So we are constantly able to have somebody pull a group of students that need some additional support. And again, as we said, behavior issues are always addressed immediately because someone's teaching, somebody else can, either, like I said, even if it's just pulling a kid out into the hallway and saying, you know, what's going on, what do we need to do,
What we're doing, that sort of.
and take care of that. We've made parent phone calls, things like that nature, while everybody else is still learning, so.
And because we're both certified 1-8, we have constant collaboration, again, bouncing ideas off of each other, different perspectives on how to introduce it, or just, what I've seen work with my students, being a fourth grade teacher versus where she was a fifth grade teacher, knowing what's worked for them, just our experiences coming together and sharing those experiences, as well as working as a team with parents. We make phone calls together, we put emails together to send, and we talk about it beforehand, as opposed to one person, oh, they're in your homeroom, you deal with them. We're constantly dealing with it together.
Our schedule is pretty flexible because our kids are together all the time. If we have an assembly that pops up, we don't have to worry about one class not getting as many minutes. We just adjust our entire schedule. Same thing with pull out, any of those kind of situations, we can automatically just adjust, which has been really nice, especially when you have things like snow days or delays. When you're losing a lot of that time, we can prioritize, this needs to get done today to make sure that we're making sure these things are being met. And then our students are always receiving the same message. So if I say something to my math class, it's the entire class. There's no confusion of, well, she said it was due this day, or she told our class this day. It's the same across the board. Parents know it's the same across the board.
Well, and sometimes I think, did I tell my first class that? Did I tell my second class? So we know they're all getting the same thing. Classroom expectations, again, going based on what Angie said, our students are aware that both teachers have the same expectations. We're on the same page at all times, so we can't play, bad cop, good cop. Mom said this, dad said this. We're working together, and they don't play us against each other. And the same homework schedule and morning routine. So.
We did ask the kids for a list of pros and cons. They were kind of interesting. They didn't really all get the point of the activity. They all really like having one big classroom, but these were some things that they said that actually kind of made sense with what we were going with here. Some of them said they liked when both teachers work with us. They took their time out of their day to talk to us when we were sad or mad.
And we have that ability, since we're team teaching, one can go on, the other one can go out and address it.
You can be partners with people on the other side, because even though they don't realize what homeroom is which, they still think of it as one side versus the other for whatever reason. But it does give them more options, which has been nice, especially when you have kids that struggle to get along. You can always kind of reposition them, and there's plenty of choices for them to work with. I like our class because I see other classes have to switch all the time, which is true. We have a lot less switching. They don't have to go to a different class for math. They don't go to a different class for reading, science, or social studies.
And when we have both teachers, it's easy, because when we had someone get in trouble, we could move on with our work, which I think was the most telling, that we didn't stop. And also I can get help quicker. So when she's teaching, like I said, one of us is constantly moving around looking for those students that are struggling to address it immediately. The one con is that we play old school music, so that was the only con we got, but we'll take it. So.
We'll take it off. Yep. So, and that's it.
Thank you.
Yes. Of course. Okay.
Do you think that the academics for these kids are improving with the two of these in the classroom compared to just one of these in the classroom?
My opinion,
Compared
yes,
to your
but
to your previous years?
I think so, because we had one student say we do so much work, and I think because we just don't stop, we're constantly going. So
We haven't taken our MAP test yet for the end of the year.
For May
We're doing that next week, so that will definitely be an indication. I do know from the fall to the winter test, we showed growth. But again, we're just kind of waiting to see.
we hope so. We feel like it is.
You can let us know how that turns out?
And we can do that. So,
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks.
any other questions? And I think
And last but not least, we have Struble Elementary with co-principals Trey Richmond, Karen Grayson, and their staff. So welcome, Struble.
Good evening. My name is Trey Richmond, and my co-principal is Karen Grayson.
Good evening.
And we ditto everything that was said from the teachers before. It has been a huge blessing to be able to work in these buildings. And we have two gentlemen here that are going to talk about the cross-categorical units and how some of the highlights that our students get from this from our unit.
Hi. This is kind of special. There's like 60% of the male population at Struble right here. We just kind of have some photos for you to look at while we talk about different things that happen in the cross-categorical classrooms. So at Struble, we have 4 different cross-categorical classrooms, all located within the same pod. Within the pods, we have access to a sensory room, and I would have included a picture, but it gets used so frequently it would look like your child's room at the house. It's very messy, but it gets straightened up at the end of every day. So children use those rooms when they get overstimulated. Things might bother them. They might have a sensitivity to light or sound, or maybe they just have an abundance of energy, and the room is equipped with tools to allow them to regulate so that they can continue to go on with their day and learn. The classrooms also have access to a kitchen, which allows for us to teach cooking lessons, which obviously would then translate into independence as they continue to grow. And for some of the older students, they can handle that. We have access to laundry equipment, which would also, again, be a beneficial skill for them to learn as they continue to grow in their independence.
Our rooms also have smart boards, just like all the other classrooms, which we utilize all the time. We have a curriculum called Unique Curriculum, which is a special ed curriculum. And most of the assignments and stuff are interactive and things, so you can post it on the board and kids can come up and answer questions on the board by using their fingers. We also use it as a whiteboard, so you can write on it and draw pictures to explain different topics and things. So we use that all the time for math, language arts, social studies. So it gets used every day. We also like to play music. My room's known for playing nice, calm guitar music. So that's for technology. On to students.
So going again on what he said with the instruction, we use the unique instruction in the classroom, which helps to individualize the support for students. There might be text with picture supports, and for students who are nonverbal, the text is interactive, so you can touch the text to have it read aloud. So the students are also broken down for an hour a day where they are split into groups based on their grade band, and they are moved with different peers and a different teacher for 1 hour during that time frame to allow for remediation of the unique curriculum. And then we also do interactive activities based on language arts and math to continue to supplement what they're getting from their teacher during the day. And it really is beneficial for them because it gets them in a room with children that are different than what they're used to sitting in the room with. It helps them to learn to socialize with the other students in the units, and just to develop general social skills. And throughout the day, using the unique curriculum, they are presented with material that is individualized for their current levels of performance, and it is geared towards helping them grow not only academically, but also socially and behaviorally.
All right. Let's see. Oh, another important thing is that, like last year, I was in Montford Heights, which our special ed, I taught the older kids I was on the second floor, and the younger kids were on first floor, which we never usually came in contact with one another. And it was hard to collaborate on anything. There really wasn't any collaboration. So in the new pod, we have 4 classrooms in close proximity to each other. We can literally like stick our heads out our door and like ask questions to each other. So it's been really nice with that. All of our planning times are exactly the same time, so we have a central location where we can all meet. We talk about things, if there's things that we're planning, or if someone's out for the day, we can cover for them and split kids. There's just a ton of different ways that we can utilize that because, you know, we can ask each other, you know, I have this kid that you had last year, you know, what are some techniques that we can use? Or, you know, I'm having this issue, any of you guys got any ideas, you know? But, so that's been the biggest helpful, I think, with me, is just because there's so many people doing the exact same job as you, all right there together. You know, we're all close because we all communicate every single day together. And so we all kind of know where each kid is in You know, from year to year, we may switch kids from one room to another, and everybody's familiar with every single kid because we've had them in our room, or we've interacted with them, or talked to, you know, the teachers that are in our pod about them, so that's been really helpful.
And I think one of the other things we've been able to do to piggyback on collaboration is just to provide several different experiences that are not just based on academics. We've worked together to participate and develop events for Thanksgiving where the students are participating in a cooking lesson, but they're also having fun at the same time. We're sharing a meal, parents are invited. We did a similar activity for Reds opening day where we prepared ballpark foods and the kids were able to dress in Reds gear and parents were invited. And we've also been able to participate in several of the different Special Olympic activities, which is great for the kids to get out and socialize, to see people outside of the building and to have things adapted for them. So we've done soccer, skating, basketball, and motor skills events. And we have the Struble Challenge Day coming up Friday, and today they were all tie-dyeing shirts for Friday. So it's been very nice to be so close and work with everybody and to put together events that are beneficial to the kids where they can have fun, learn, and continue to grow at the same time. I think that's it.
And I forgot to introduce them. This is Rick Dunn and Jeremy Osterfeld.
Like to thank all the principals and staff that came and shared with us this evening. Again, apologize we got such a late start. I know you've had a long day, and here we had you sitting here for a while. But thank you very much. It's nice to see all the exciting things going on in these beautiful buildings.
So if you were part of the presentation team, I'd love to have a group photo. This is also your chance to leave. So we'll meet out in the hallway, so come on out.
Yeah, me too. Okay, Jim Butler Tech.
Yeah, Pam, just have one thing on Butler Tech. Last Wednesday, we went up to the Savannah Center up in Westchester, and there was a military day for all of the Butler Tech kids that are joining the military, and there was about 50 of them from all branches, and the keynote speaker was a general from Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. Came down and spoke to these kids, just explaining to them, you know, what's all involved, and he brought down these special medals and presented to each kid, and, you know, they got up and said what branch they were in, and it was just a great ceremony that, you know, notifying, you know, let these kids, you know, have their day that they've chosen to go into the armed forces, and it was a great experience and a great time. The kids really enjoyed it.
I had the opportunity to go with Jim, and I tell you what, to see all the families and how proud they were, and this general was, I think, 29 years in, or 30 years in. He was amazing with all the kids. I believe we had 2 Northwests and 1 Colerain student that were there, and then what they did is took them in another banquet room, and then they had these huge American flags draped, and the company that does all the yearbook pictures was there, and the families could get in front of the flag with their student and take pictures, and they printed them out and gave them to the families right then and there. So it was very touching, and it was a very, very neat. Lots of, I think there were some representatives there, and a senator was there, and it was very neat to see this for the kids. Okay.
I apologize. We have another small group of representatives that came as well.
Okay.
That wanted to also share with you a small bit of a program for our KSA program.
Okay.
So would you mind if they take a moment to
Sure.
share with you all the things that they're doing
Bring
as
'em
well?
up.
I know that they weren't on the list, but would you mind if they were able to share out some of the awesome things they're doing at Northwest High School?
Absolutely.
Let's welcome Susan Smith and Northwest High School.
Sorry, Chris, I think we... We will be quick. We just wanted to talk to you a little bit about a program that we started this year called Knight Success Academy. And we realized that we had a lot of students who were credit deficient, and we wanted a program for them to get caught up and even graduate early and get themselves started on the next chapter of their lives. So two teachers, these are my rock stars in the program, Lori Spence and Tanya LaValle. So Lori Spence was doing credit recovery, our program here, and Tanya is our CBI instructor through Butler Tech. So my bright idea was to put the two rock stars together and see what they could do. And I think there's a quote that says, find good leaders and then get out of their way. And that's what I did. And we thought, the first year will be a trial period and we'll see how it goes. Well, they have done extremely well. So what our program looks like is students earn credit through an Ingenuity program online, and we coupled that with career-based intervention through Butler Tech. So students can also earn credit by being employed. So half of their day they're here with us taking courses, and the other half of the day they're out working in our community, earning money, but also earning credits. So we have an AM and PM session. We started with 40 students. We started kind of small, and there are 5 staff members involved, so the 2 teachers behind me, and then 2 intervention specialists and 1 assistant who helps in the classroom. So like I mentioned, the part of the day that they're not here, they're out working and earning money and credits. Students that were selected were at least 2 credits or more behind and were at least 16 years old. So we kind of prioritized our juniors and seniors. We wanted to get them through high school as quickly as possible. And by the end of the year, we had a waiting list because the popularity of these 2 in their program has grown so often that we have parents calling saying, can I please get into that program? I want my student with Spence and LaValle. Something that we thought was important was not just to churn out credits. These are students who need supports in addition to just academically. So we have attached our district social worker, our counselors, and a children's home therapist to the program so that students' social and emotional needs are being met in addition to working through credits academically. We have a connection with a Healthy Visions program, again, for some of that goal setting and some of these wraparound services for our students. Transportation has been wonderful in helping us with students who have difficulty getting to and from our program, and our food service department provides breakfast to students in the morning and lunch to students in the afternoon. So what our goal was, the 3 of us, was to remove any barriers students have from being successful at school. So that's why we involve some other programs and some other people to really help, like I said, wrap around our services for our students. We are at 40 graduates and counting. So our success rate is 98% with our students who are involved in this program. Thank you. And these 2 are shy and hate public speaking. It has nothing to do with me and everything to do with the 2 of them. They are here all hours of the day working with these kids. They're calling them on the weekends saying, I noticed you haven't been working. They have text messages with parents saying, he's this much through, he needs 2 more days and he'll be done. So their class has gotten a lot smaller because they've all graduated. So that's a good problem to have. Like I said, these are students who might not have graduated if it wasn't for these 2 ladies. So I got out of their way, let them do their thing, and it has been extremely successful. These are the number of hours our students have worked, the wages that they've earned, and the co-op credits that they've earned from being employed. And Tanya pounds the pavement and finds places where our kids can work that want to work with us. One example is Jimmy John's that just opened up on Colerain Avenue. She sought them out and said, who will you hire? And they said, if your students can pass a drug test, we'll hire all of them. So we have a lot of kids who are working at Jimmy John's because Tanya created a partnership with them. We're very excited about this part. Last year, these 40 students had a combined total of 738 office referrals. This year, they have a combined total of 25. Wow. So these 2, again, not me, these 2 are getting it done. And our attendance for these students has improved 3-fold. They're coming to school because of these guys, and they're getting their work done, and they're graduating. So we're very excited about that. Do you mind clicking on that? Ms. Spence put together a video just because it's very easy for us to stand up and describe it. It's much better for you to see what they're doing. Yeah, they want me to buy them a twisty slide like the elementary schools for their program, which I will do. If that's what they need, that's what they're getting. So we'll have a slide next year. Maybe. Maybe our connection's not working.
Everyone close your eyes.
While they're getting that set up, what you'll see as part of the video is we wanted it to look different from a traditional classroom as well. So Mr. McKee worked with me to get some furniture in the room that's more internet cafe style and less rows and desks. Desks and rows. And if we wanted to make a non-traditional program, we wanted it to look non-traditional. So you'll see the classroom and space these guys have created. So the only thing we're going to add to the video is videos of the students saying what they like about the program. But what they've told us kind of informally, not on video, is I wouldn't have made it if it wasn't for these guys or this program. And their parents have said the same thing. So actually, the student who said that to me is pictured up there. So we're very excited for them. The one student that we are down to of whether or not he was going to graduate, these guys talked with him tonight. He has half a credit left. So we think that he's going to make it in time for graduation as well. So they will be at a 100% success rate. And again, I got out of their way and let them do their thing and create the program they wanted, which they both looked at me, but like, what do you want? What do you want? And I'm like, I want you guys to run it. But what do you want? I'm like, whatever you want. Like, we'll figure it out. So powerful teacher leaders and like I said, getting out of their way, letting them do what they need to do and be a good support system for our kids, and it has worked out extremely well. So we're very proud of this program. And did I forget anything, guys? They hate talking in public. So they're like, no, you're good. So thank you for having us. We're, like I said, very proud of our Night Success Academy program, and we're looking to expand for next year. So
I just want to take a quick second. The pictures don't do it justice. Had the opportunity to stop in the classroom. It's beautiful. They thought about everything. I mean, they painted the walls a soft gray. The lighting was a little softer. You just instantly felt relaxed as soon as you walked in the room. And the kids were doing their work, but it wasn't in a traditional way. And so congratulations.
The first item for approval is certificated licensed personnel items, certified retirements and resignations. The superintendent recommends the Board of Education approve the certified retirements and resignations as listed.
Please.
So moved.
Do you have it now? Do you have it? Okay. Second. It's been moved in second. Are there any questions or comments? Okay. Tell Jim to vote.
It hasn't popped up.
Look up top. Jim's isn't showing for him to vote.
Huh? I did. I voted on the other ones. I'll do it again. Okay, there we go.
Here we go. Motion passed 5-0.
Next item is a classified personnel item. Superintendent recommends the Board of Education approve the classified retirements and resignations as listed.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved in second. Are there any questions or comments? Okay. Motion passed 5-0.
Next item is a general business item, is the Master Facility Project GMP adjustments. This is in order to adjust and close out each guaranteed maximum price previously approved by the Board of Education. It is necessary to properly document the addition or deletion of work scope, which will increase and decrease actual cost of each GMP. Any remaining funds are then made available for future use, which may include alternates to the work scope increase on existing GMPs for the future GMPs as approved by the board. Superintendent recommends the Board of Education approve the attached change orders as listed.
So moved. Second.
It's been moved in second. Are there any questions regarding the Master Facility Project? Okay.
I do want to say that we do get this agenda on Thursday or Friday of last week, so we've got 3 or 4 days to read it, so we're just not seeing it now for the first time. Just wanted to let people know that.
Motion passed 5-0.
Next item is vendor contracts. Superintendent and Treasurer recommend the Board of Education approve the vendor contracts as listed.
So moved.
Second. It's been moved in second. Are there any questions on the vendor contracts? Motion passed 5-0.
The next item is certificated licensed personnel items. Superintendent recommends the Board of Education approve the certificated licensed personnel items as listed.
So moved.
Second? It's been moved in second. Are there any questions or comments?
Yes, I move that we table this item for future meeting.
I didn't hear what she said.
She's moving to table it. We need a second.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Chris, can you put this into vote?
And so what is the motion?
Are we voting now on the first, or they have a motion to table? Okay,
Mrs. Detzel?
no.
Mr. Yushimura?
Yes.
Ms. Bradley?
Yes.
Mr. Gilbert?
Yes.
Mr. Detzel?
No.
Okay. I remind you that Ohio Revised Code, this will have to be resolved by June 1st to keep us compliant with the law. Okay. Will it work to just do that? Jump, okay.
Next item is classified personnel items. The superintendent recommends the Board of Education approve the classified personnel items as listed.
So moved.
Second?
It's been moved in second. Are there any questions or comments being classified? Okay. Motion passed 5-0.
Next item is student services, extended athletic field trip. Colerain High School cheerleading has requested permission to attend cheerleading camp at Miami University the 11th of July through the 14th. No school will be missed. The superintendent recommends the Board of Education approve the athletic extended field trip list as listed.
So moved?
Second.
Moved in second. Questions regarding the cheerleaders trip for camp? Okay. Motion passed 5-0.
Next item is curriculum and instruction, 2019-2020 middle school general music course. The middle school principals and teachers from CMS, PRMS, and White Oak Middle School are requesting that a general music course be added for the 2019-20 school year. The elective course will provide a non-performance-based course offering for students interested in listening to and learning about a variety of music types. This is for information only. Any questions you have, please let me know prior to the next board meeting, and we'll be glad to get back in touch, or if you have any questions at this time.
Anybody have any questions at this time?
The next item is for information only. It is Student Services 2019-20 Attendance and Enrollment Handbooks. As with all handbooks, you will receive them as information first, and then at the next board meeting, they will come as an action. So you have enrollment and attendance handbooks presented for more information.
Anybody? Okay.
All right, at this time, we'd like to move into the work session and have the discussion on levy millage and where the Board of Education is on this topic. To help you get to that scenario, Amy has prepared a PowerPoint that she will go over, and then we will open it for discussion.
And just real quick, this is a work session tonight. It was not a board meeting. So I know somebody accidentally put out the comment cards. We don't have those on the agenda for the work session. So you're more than welcome to come back on our next meeting on May 24th. Or I've got Daryl Yater here. They'll be more than happy to discuss anything after the meeting or even during this levy presentation. We will have open discussion with the levy millage.
Do you have mine on? We're gonna have to move. They can't see us.
Yeah, board members, you'll probably have to move out so you can see the board. There's scattered chairs all throughout. I think Rich left, so. Or bathroom, I don't know which. You guys can bring your chairs with you or find others, whatever you want to do. We just want to make sure you can see Amy's presentation.
So as we've been discussing, is this on? Is that on? So as we've been discussing for the past few months, we've been talking about levy planning, levy cycles, and how levies work for school districts. So I just want to remind everybody that the state of Ohio's concept of school funding is that it is a local and state share. It's a combination for funding. So the state actually looks at what can a community contribute locally, and then they determine to pay the difference. They come up with a funding formula. They determine what the local residents and property owners can provide towards that formula, and then the state pays the difference. So here at Northwest, the state has determined that locally, our community can support 60% of the state funding formula, and so then the state pays the other 40%. So for levy cycles, it's not a question of if you need a levy, it's a question of when. Because we are a suburban school district, the state has determined that our property owners should fund more of the school district than the state versus a rural or suburban school district. So levy cycles happen every 3 to 5 years on an average. We've been 7 to 10 years here at Northwest. As far as a levy cycle, you start in the negative and you're in deficit spending when you pass a levy, and your levy produces more revenue than you need in the first year, and sometimes, depending on how long your levy goes out, about half of the years. You break even about midway through the levy cycle you intend to have, and then you spend the revenue that you received in the beginning of your levy cycle for the latter years. Because a levy is fixed when it's passed and the amount of revenue collected does not change, you have to determine the amount of years the levy will last, what that middle year would be in order what you need to collect, and that's what you collect equally every year of the levy. So our levy history, we know we've been looking at this graph for the past several months. It shows that we've been passing levies since 1976, and as you can see on the far right-hand column, the amount of money we receive per levy does not change. We are still receiving the amount of money we received when the levy was first passed today. Expenditures continue to increase with inflation, new state mandates. So over time, revenue has to increase to catch up and meet our increased expenditures. Since 2012, we have been projecting deficit spending in the current fiscal year, which is fiscal year 19. And in the October 5-year forecast, we again projected a deficit spending. Without a levy, we're looking at not only going below our cash balance policy, but dipping below zero. We will go down below our cash balance policy in 2020, and we will become negative cash balance in 2023. So our proposal that we've prepared tonight after we've had several work sessions is a 7.5 mil levy, which would last at least 5 years and would generate approximately $11 million. This levy would need to be renewed in 2024. However, we would need an additional levy every 5 to 7 years, so we would need to ask for additional revenue in 2024 or 2026, somewhere around that time frame. And we also have our original emergency levy from 2007 that will be up for renewal in 2027. So with that, we're proposing to not only have the 7 mil levy now, but to do a substitute levy in around 2023, which would take the 2007 emergency levy and the proposed current emergency levy and combine them into one continuing levy, so we don't have to continuously have to reapprove dollars that we've been operating on since 2007, and also have to ask for additional levies around 2025. So at the last work session, you asked me some questions. So tonight I've come prepared to answer your questions. You asked, what does a 7 mil levy look like? Annually, 7 mils is about at, on average, $428. And the 7.5 mil is what we're recommending, and that's what's in bold. Around 450. Monthly, that breaks down into roughly $38 per month on average, depending on the property owner's value. And remember that property is taxed at a 35% valuation rate. What 7.5 mils would look like over time, the blue line is the cash balance, the green line is our cash balance policy, and the purple line is the carryover from year to year. The 7.5 mil levy by 2026 would leave us with between 1 to 2 years of operating expenditures. It's a little over 1, not quite 2. So if state funding were to change, and the state changes its funding formula just about every 2 years, there's economic fluctuations that can happen, unfunded mandates that are constantly coming, needs from the community, anything that can happen. And remember, the revenue is flat when passed, so it leaves room for making changes within the levy cycle. You also asked, how do we compare to other districts? What this slide shows is several surrounding districts, not all of them, and the amount of millage they have passed, their communities have passed. The highlighted ones below are also districts that have an income tax in addition to their property tax. The gray line across the middle is the 20 mil floor, which is the state minimum that every district must collect per the House Bill 920. And the black arrow is Northwest Local Schools. So that's where we fall in these districts. Now, this is not the full picture because every district's evaluation is different. So what 1 mil we can collect here is different than what 1 mil will collect in every district on there. So it's not apples to apples. It's very difficult for me to give you the picture of how we compare. All I can give you is the picture of the amount of millage passed by other communities compared to the amount of millage passed by Northwest.
And the amount of millage, if you took your house in Northwest and moved it down to Finneytown, you would actually be paying a lot more taxes. Is that what this graph is showing?
If your house was valued the same, yes.
Yeah, if your house is valued the same. So any of those districts to the right of where Northwest is, based on the same value of your house you live in, you would move it to that district or that, your property taxes would be a lot higher.
Correct. And Wyoming, you'd have an additional 1% income tax on top of that. So I want to remind, we've looked at this slide before, but this is the current state funding formula and the amount locally that we are not collecting per the formula to fund basic education. So $6 million is not being collected by the property owners within the Northwest Local School District, and because of the state's ability to cap what their share is, it's actually $9 million is what the school is not collecting on the total state funding formula. When we look at the services that the district provides above the basic education, we're looking at about $8 million of services that are not funded by the state. These services on the screen have to be locally funded, and this is not all-inclusive. These are just some of the larger items that we fund here locally. So in addition to the $6 million that we do not collect and the $9 million in total that's not being funded through the state funding formula, we also provide $8 million worth of services in addition to that.
I think it's key that everybody understand what's being addressed here. So, Amy and I have talked about this. The 1 mile busing is what our district policy is. However, a school district can go to 2 miles if they would like to. We know that our parking lots and our entryways to our schools are not built to handle traffic up to 2 miles. So the reality of this one is, and I apologize, I have a cold, is that 1 mile is will most likely be the recommendation. The other things that go on, the cleaning level from 3 to 4 is huge. that's not cleaning the classroom every day. That's a custodian going down the hall with a can and teachers bringing out their garbage and dumping it as a can as they go by. It's not cleaning classrooms on a daily basis. That's all that's required. And even that's not required. Traffic control, none of that is required. We do it because we have issues that we want to accommodate our parents, because we respect their needs to get to work on time, and then to pick up their kids on time. Another big one, school resource officers are not required. It is hard enough to find good quality resource officers. We have yet to find one for White Oak Middle School, but I think that says a lot about safety if they are removed from the building. Gifted services are not required whatsoever. Counselors in elementary are not required. Deans, nursing. And again, I apologize. It's been like this all day. The one that really bothers me is high school graduation requirements. You work your whole life to give kids opportunity and expose them to different opportunities so they can excel in science or art or music, and language arts, writing, reading. The basics don't call for that. You need to offer 4 English, 1, 2, 3, 4 in English, 1, 2, 3, 4 in math. Doesn't have to really be diversified. In other words, you don't have to offer calc, pre-calc. You just need 4 maths, 3 science, 3 social studies. PE and health could be moved to the middle schools. I have a hard time with that because you look at what's going on with emotional health and how important health is. It pretty much needs to be in middle school and high school. You look at our electives. Basically, our 2 high school principals who sit before you have cut so much. Basically, the most electives they have is through Butler Tech. They are trying some different things to garner students' interest by changing the electives they do offer, but that is something that if you offer basic, I just need folks to understand how low that does cut. Middle school could go to a 6-bell day, save a lot of staff, just do the basics there. We have 2 social workers and extracurriculars. The extracurriculars is a combination of high school sports and music programs. And so what that basically covers is salaries for the stipends the coaches get and the directors and the savings on transportation. So basic education, I don't think is any reason that anybody moved into the Northwest Local School District. And all we offer is a basic education. We're no different than Youngstown, where the state's taking it over, and that's all they're offering. So when she puts up numbers and we're having a discussion about $33 a month, $35 and $38 a month, the pride in this district has to stand up and has to speak out on what's important to parents. We had a large crowd here. I know we ran late tonight. We apologize for that. We didn't intend to run until 8:30 before we started having this discussion, but we need the input from the community. What do you want for your kids? What do you want for what do you want productive citizens to look like who graduate from Colerain and Northwest High School? I think we all know what we want, but we can't go to this basic. So I just want everybody to be aware, and if you have any questions about any of these, feel free to ask.
And just to put this into perspective, $6 million we do not collect to provide basic education. And we're providing above basic education. This equates to another 5 mills. This is to show you that we are trying very hard to be fiscally responsible and trying to maximize our community's dollars to provide the most opportunities for our students. So you also asked me, how much would we need to spend just to get to the state average? The dark blue is the expenditure per pupil. The light blue is the state share, so the state's portion that they contribute. The black line is Northwest, and the purple line is the state average. For us to get to spend just the state average, and I seem to recall last time we said we didn't want to be average, we thought we needed to be above average, and to get to state average, we would need to spend about $7.5 million more per year just to get us to the state average dollar amount. Also, as you can see on the bottom, rural, suburban, and urban. We are a suburban school district which has less state funding. All the way on the right is more of your urban school districts which have more state funding. And then your rural school districts in the middle have not as much as the urban, but more than the suburban.
And so for those of you who weren't at the last meeting, what was asked is, what size of a levy would it take to get to the state average? So that's why she's put these up there.
So finally, I'd like to just make sure we are also thinking about when the 7.5 mil that we're proposing, is that we need to think about that the state budget does change every 2 years with the biennial budget, and sometimes there's a mid-year amendment in the budget, so it could even change every year, depending on what the state budget has, the condition of the economy. And the state has cut us in March before, and yet we still have expenditures to continue throughout the fiscal year. We also have district preventative maintenance and repairs that are currently not being done, and as a district, we need to make sure we upkeep our buildings and maintain our fixed assets. Again, as I said, unfunded mandates both by the state and federal government and changes in the economy that happen over time. So with that, hopefully we can start our conversation and see where we can get to consensus on where we need to go.
Yes. Can we get you a mic, maybe?
What I'm seeing and what I'm talking to people that are in my age group, and again, you know me, I'm telling you, I'm the age group you're gonna have to answer to. I'm the senior citizen, I'm the one who's staying here because I've lived here so long. The senior citizens that are here that don't have children, what one of you told me were that 80% that are in the Northwest is my age group. Somebody told me that one time. Right, they don't have students in the school district. So the 80% you gotta talk to, and the 80% that wanna hear, we wanna hear what she said, that's something everybody wants to hear. What's it gonna cost me every month? So now I can go back and say between $28 and $35 a month, or less than $10 a week. And that's what people on a senior citizen budget have to hear. Okay, $10 a week. That's worth it to keep everything and get better and be up where all this other school districts are. Another thing they're asking is, what's being paid for the football season, for the basketball season, and where's that money going? They're very interested in what's going into the education versus what's going into the extracurricular activity. And from that chart, and maybe I didn't read it right, it looked like the $1 million was down with the extracurricular activity, and the figures above that for the deans and for the other people that support it and the basic education were in the hundreds. So that's something you're gonna have to understand. People are gonna come, they're gonna come and ask why. Why is this showing me, see that line where it says extracurricular?
1,430,100. million on extracurricular activities.
Right, but do you see in education what they're looking at, like cleaning and gifted services to seniors, because we're seniors, I guess, and we don't get, we want our children or grandchildren or the people to get the education. I, Bonita Sargent, believe in extracurricular activity. The audience you're going to talk to, that's the questions they're going to be asking the board. One other time I asked you to show of some kind of a formula or some kind of a visual, because another thing they keep asking is, you spent $75,000 on 3 new schools, and now you're coming out and asking me for money for a levy. They don't understand. I understand. You've explained it. I understand. That's a bucket over here that has nothing to do with your levy, what comes out of your levy. Why did you build 3 schools if now you're coming back and asking for more money? We don't understand this. Why are you having problems in the 3? Those are the kind of questions that are out in the community that people are asking. My daughter, the one who has children here, she's a 37-year-old with children here. Her age group are asking, where's the money going and why do we need more money? And I said, but you want the better school and you want the deans put back in school. So I'm trying to make people understand this, but it's the message isn't getting out there. I agree, you know, the people who come, it's usually the same people. I don't know how to make them understand. You've got to start listening because they know the rumor's out there that you're gonna put a levy on in November. And the rumor is, people like me, I want it to pass, but most people are like, well, why? Why do we need a levy? I don't understand. So the thing I'm gonna put to the board, you need to communicate a better visual about the 3 schools, why that doesn't have nothing to do with this, how that, because they know you're gonna build another new school eventually, and why are you talking about building another new school when you need a levy? Those are the things that need to be brought out of this, what Amy's trying to show us. I get it, I come to all the meetings, but the general public that you have to address, they're not getting this or seeing this or even hearing this. But those are the things I'm hearing, the extracurricular activity versus the education, the 3 new schools, why do you need money now?
I fully Yes, sir.
Can I ask a question? We've got both of the principals here from Northwest and Colerain High School. Extracurriculars are not narrowed down to football, baseball, and basketball. Could you enumerate on some of the extracurriculars that are involved with that 1.4?
Well, first of all, it includes music.
Okay, yeah.
Marching band, show choirs, orchestra.
Jazz band.
We have several choirs.
It's music and
clubs.
sports.
And so you're absolutely correct. It's not just sports. It's quite frankly a ton of activities which attracts a lot of our kids. I mean, if you take our sports programs alone, there's over 500 kids in our programs, our sports programs. You add music to it, I'm sure you're over 750.
And there's other clubs that you have to establish. So that extracurricular thing is kind of questionable.
The
I mean,
co-curricular
if you
is
really
not
want
in
to
there.
spread it out, you could possibly do that. How about you at Northwest High School? Same thing?
Same thing, and the 1.4 is the supplemental pay for the coaches who spend, and the advisors who spend hours and hours with our kids after their workday.
Sure.
So
Jack, you've got to pay for those crummy referees, umpires, and everybody else too, and that's a pretty big piece of this whole thing.
And it gets more expensive.
Absolutely, I agree.
And so, Ms. Sargent, to summarize what you would like to see, my bigger concern was your first concern, that it's not just 33, 35, 38. That's $35 additional dollars a month for senior citizens who are on fixed income. So we definitely get that. So we have to explain why we just passed the 2 levies, which we have tried in small groups. The communication is not going out. It's not getting where we want it to be. It's not being shared. We would offer at any time, whether it's Amy, Daryl, or myself, or anybody sitting to my left, to come and meet with any group that you have, 2 people, 3 people, 4, lunch, breakfast, dinner, whatever you want. We would be glad to communicate with them and meet with them and explain where we are in the process. And if we can attack little small groups at a time and get the word out there. But we have to do a better job with how we publicize what we're doing, how great the things are for our kids. And all of that will start changing in the future. The other thing is, again, these aren't even the clubs. This isn't French club, German club, Spanish club, student senate. This is just athletics. And so and athletics pretty much funds themselves. Colerain, LaSalle, Northwest, Ross, 2 biggest crowds they probably have during the year. You bring in a lot of money, but it is not cheap to buy a $250 football helmet, a $150 pair of pads for football. It's not cheap to buy baseball uniforms, to buy baseball equipment for the catchers, to take care of your fields. And both of the athletic departments basically fund the majority of what we do. We do give them money from the general fund, but they do a lot of their own fundraising above and beyond that's not even in that figure, that goes way above and beyond. Music, what would we do? We wouldn't have music if it wasn't for parents, period. The fundraising they do, the driving the vehicles to get them to competitions, the support they give them, the sewing on clothes and uniforms, buying, we just bought band uniforms at Colerain High School a couple years back Northwest. It's not even a good picture what little bit of money we cut music if we have to end up cutting those programs, because you can probably multiply that by 4 from what parents are already putting into there. So we've got get the people to understand that. The support from our parents on our music programs is phenomenal. The support for our athletic programs, the opportunities it gets, getting people to realize if Joe and I apply at Xavier University and we've both got 30s on ACTs, they're going to go back to what other activities did you do? Well, they're going to look at your athletics. They're going to look at your music. They're going to look, what were you a captain of? What were you a president of? Those things matter for our kids, and to lose those things, you just can't take them away. So we will get the message out exactly like you're saying, but it's going to take time, and we've got to start going after little pods of folks that we can in the community and get the message out as clear as we can.
One thing you could collaborate with, the chief of police in Colerain Township does coffee with the chief once a month. There are different restaurants. I don't know what, the one and only one I went to, there was like 30 people that showed up, but sometimes.
We just had that exact conversation with our principals and some others, and that's something we're definitely looking at doing.
Greg Johnson, from Cincinnati Metropolitan Housing Authority, he's done the same thing. He's come into the community and done, coffee with Greg. Come to Panera Bread, if you want to set something up, I'll set something up and have all the seniors that come to Panera Bread at 8 o'clock with me, have them come in the back room. And the message has to get out, because we're in May, people are going to start forgetting because school's getting ready to get out. They're not going to talk about, then you're going to come back to school and then we're going to start hearing about the levy. What levy? Why are they doing this? What money? Well, I didn't hear about this. Did you hear about that? I didn't hear about this. That's that's the visual thing. I would start sending stuff home to students. I know that's not exactly getting the message out, because most of them, if they're in high school, might throw it in the garbage. But at least at the elementary, maybe even the middle school, parents do go through the folders. And if you just highlight certain things, this is why we need a levy. Do you want counseling still in your school? Do you still want nursing in your school next year? Not that you're trying to scare them, but you're trying to get them to get a picture.
Right. We want the conversation to continue through this summer, but we want to make sure that we hit the ground running in August so they're fully aware of how it affects the 21 school year when we start. So, go ahead.
I just have a comment. I'm a taxpaying parent in Northwest School District. I have 3 children in the district, and when I purchased my home 15 years ago, I was a single person with no kids. Really didn't think about what district. I just liked the house that I bought. You know, I was younger, and it was my first home. I was excited, but had no kids. Now I have 3 kids. They're all in the district, and this is the first time I've seriously thought about taking all 3 of my children out of this school district. I'm thinking about sending them all to private schools. So the fact that, when I heard that they were having a board meeting, they were going to talk about the levy, this is the first meeting I've ever come to. Because I'm like, you know what, since this has been a priority in my mind, I feel my kids, I almost feel like they're getting like a substandard education in this district. It seems like it's failing. I mean, they do okay. I work with my kids at home. I know you can't put all the pressure on the school to make your kids be, A+ students, but then when you hear things about Walnut Hills having 17 students, you'd be like, oh my gosh, I want my kids to be in a school like that. I just want to know what is
Well, the good thing about a work session is you get to speak your honest opinion. Amy, could you back up a couple slides? And we appreciate that. Could you go back to the funding where it shows where we are? Nope, you just passed it. Right there. So, as long as I've been in the district, as a high school principal, and then as business director, and now as superintendent, we have continued to make cuts every year. You have 2 high school principals sitting next to you who have been asked to make reductions over the past 10 years. And these reductions are starting to catch up with us. And it's starting to catch up with us monetarily. And if we want to compete, we can compete with every school that's up there. I don't know if we can ever compete with Walnut Hills. I think we can, though. But you need to understand, you have to apply to get into Walnut Hills. And a lot of people don't get there. My question to you would be, if we pass this levy, the benefits of passing it are as follows: smaller class sizes, adding the support. We've listened to the community. We need deans in our elementaries. We said building the 3 new ones to administrators is not enough. You've said it, 100 parents have said it, the teachers have all said it, so we've tried to add those. We need additional counselors because of all the mental health issues that are going in. But if we can't get a levy to get us where we should be, if we want to be compared to others, get us on the same playing field. Right now, we're at the bottom of the playing field, but we're expected to do the same at the top, but we're doing it for $1,000 less a kid. So that's the need for the levy and why we're trying to get there. But we are in the process of making changes and putting in programs that are working. I think you saw from the 21st century buildings that were presented tonight, they are doing different things with learning. If you look at the high school program that Susan and her staff presented, 40 kids who before were credit deficient are now all graduating and meeting 100%. Same things are happening at Colerain High School. Things are starting to change, but it gets hard for Jack and Susan to continue to make these changes and keep up with the Joneses, which is what up here, when every year we're asking them to reduce staff, which is the bottom line of what's occurring. And our class sizes aren't where we want them, but it's what we can afford right now.
I heard they're having classes in the lunchroom at PRE.
No,
Is that true?
there's no classrooms in,
Oh, they're not on the stage. You're referring on stage? On the stage, okay. That's music classes?
yeah, the stage in the school, if you looked at the design and set on the planning, they were supposed to have a music room for a class, and the stage was supposed to be a class. That's the way the schools were designed. That way you could serve more students in music, but that's exactly why they were designed that way. And all the teachers are aware of that.
So I voted for the last levy, I voted yes. This levy, I don't know. I'm just getting all the information and, seeing how it's gonna go. But I feel like if I'm gonna have to pay $10,000 for my daughter to go to Macaulay or Roger Bacon, I'm not gonna support a levy for a
Right.
district if I'm already gonna be paying for my kids to go to private school. It's gonna be no.
And I would say, look at what we can do once the levy does pass. Look at the advantages for what the kids will get. Look at the scores as they come out, and we continue to show improvement. Remember, we're a transient school district, so 18% of our kids is changing hands every year. We're taking kids, we're getting them over a year's growth, but it takes time when you started there. So if a kid comes in 3 grade levels behind and we get a year, 0.3 growth, it takes another couple years to get everybody caught up as they go. And if you look at 18%, I think Susan's enrollment is, let's say 1,000, even though it's not. So 180 kids are changing hands each year. That's a lot of students. And the same thing is happening in our elementaries too. So your kids will do well because you are a parent and you have put your foot down and you have given them the direction they need. We will service you as a parent in our school district because we're going to provide services that continue to improve your students and give them what they need so they can be anything they want as they graduate from high school. So give us time, stay in touch with me. I'd be glad to keep communicating with you on a daily basis.
What is up with the phones in the classroom?
What level?
It seems like kids are videotaping and Snapchatting and Instagramming and all of that in the classroom, and I don't remember, I know I'm in a different time, I did graduate a while ago, but, I focused when I was in class at Roger Bacon. Now, we did have, priests and, nuns, they were strict, and so we were like, we were kids, but there were so many things that I would not do. When
Well, get in touch with me, and I'll definitely get you in touch with the principal, and we'll set up a meeting.
Because I'd rather pay somebody to, have that classroom together. I'd rather pay the $10,000 or $12,000 to a school that I know is not gonna take, the people ain't snapping and on their phones and on the website.
And our principals don't allow that on purpose, and our teachers definitely do not. They're good people. It just depends on what the day and what the situation is. Without knowing the exact facts, I can't. But we'd be glad to meet with you and try to set anything straight we can.
Okay, I absolutely appreciate that.
Thank you.
So the common levy has nothing to do with the current issues at like the elementary, because my daughter in general, she's a very well, like, she enjoys school, but this year she doesn't want to go here anymore. She can't focus in class, she comes home every day, it's a bad day, it wasn't me, there's a lot of interruptions in school, she comes home, tells me all kinds of stories, and she no longer wants to attend PRA, so I am honestly searching outside of Northwest.
What grade is your daughter in?
She's in the 2nd grade.
So is my daughter, and she says the same thing.
So I would ask that
Same thing.
Dustin Garing is sitting right behind you in Student Services. We will set up a meeting with the building principals and Director of Elementary Curriculum, and we will get to the bottom of what's going on, because the last thing I want, and anybody here who's involved with the district, doesn't want a kid feeling comfortable coming to school. That's not fair to her. That's not why we're in the business we're in, and that is something we will gladly meet with you, collaborate, and find a solution so that we can change her mind and make her enjoy her experience, especially in a new school building. So.
Who is your daughter's teacher?
Miss Turner, she's great. On Starnes now.
Oh, Starnes. Yes. Okay.
Oh, my favorite was that. That was first grade, right? No, this one, wait.
I
Yes.
think it's something I forgot. There is something else that, you're gonna come up against a roadblock. The fact that, and I don't know about any other school, but Struble is getting a failing grade, that is gonna be another roadblock people are gonna throw at you. Why? I know why, from listening to Amy and listening to, I think, the lady sitting next to you, Brenda, is that her name?
Brenda.
You two
Yes.
explained that, about how the state came in and they went back. I understand it, I understand it. An average person out there in Northwest, all they hear is, oh, my grandson goes to Struble and they're getting an F. My grandson goes to, they're in a failing school. So that is a roadblock when you're asking for money from a person, you're asking to give money. Well, why, the old saying, why throw money down the rat hole? I mean, that is the concept and the perception that people are gonna have. Well, oh, your child's my next door neighbor, oh, he goes to Struble and he's in a failing school, but you want me to vote for a levy. I, Bonita Sargent, is not that person. The average person out there is not gonna understand that. How many other schools are in the F or D level? I don't know about PRE, I don't know about Montford Heights, I don't know about Taylor. All I know is my grandkids go to Struble, and when they gave their presentation, they made me understand my grandson's and granddaughter in a failing school. That's a mind-boggling thing, that they're in a failing school, and I understand because she explained it, they both explained it very well, they were very articulate, they made me understand how the state did it, it's not really the school, but the average person out there, when neighbors are talking and when people are talking, all they're hearing is Struble's a failing school. So that is a roadblock that you have to make people understand. Like Brenda, and I'm sorry, I don't know your name. Stephanie explained, because it made sense, because I had to go home and explain to my own daughter. No, here's what it is. They went back, the state did this, blah, 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 and finally she said, oh, so it really isn't a failing school. But that's all the community's hearing. We're in a failing school district. We're having failing schools.
Right, and it's educating them on what's going on with the state report card, and it's a report card that has 610 districts and only 8 achieved the top score. So what kind of system do we truly have? It's legislators making declarations and telling you you need to do this, this, and that, but it's unfunded mandates that they keep passing down. So we meet with them, we work on them, but we will get the word out about the connection with Weigel and how Weigel was actually the combination with Struble that led to that, as we said before.
Because that way then, if you say, did you hear that we're failing, here's the real story, or something like that, because people will read that. Oh yeah, I did hear you were failing, so explain it to me. And once you explain it to them, I think they'll understand it and they'll get it. An average person will get it. I mean, I took it home and explained it to my daughter, and she went, oh, okay, that makes sense. It made sense about everything. But all the is the word failing. And that, you know, people say, okay, now I'm in a failing school district, and now they want me to give more money out of my, you know, income. That's the reality of what you have to sell. And I think you can do it. I think if you give the right pieces out of all these things that I've sat and watched, and give the right buckets and the right facts, and they're just, people don't like to read pages and pages. They just want like a blurb, you know, and an explanation, and then a blurb and an explanation. And I'm telling you that the 3 new schools, the extracurricular activities, even though I know, like Joe said, it's not just football and basketball. I know that. Other people don't get that. All they hear is, oh, they're all worried about Cardinal football. That's all they're worried about. No, they're not. They're worried about the French club, the band, the marching band, the orchestra, all the stuff that I get it. It's the average citizen that's sitting out there that you're trying to get to understand the levy. That's who you got to get to.
As a board, do you have other questions to help you make your decision? Any information you need?
I would ask the following, that we pick 2 additional board meeting dates, one for next week and then one for June 6th or 7th, because after we make a decision on the levy amount, we would like by the 23rd to have a pretty clear picture, and then Amy needs a June board meeting date to put the resolution forward. I think the key of what she brought up tonight at our last meeting was, we talked about a 7-year extension of how long the levy would pass. We still think we can get there. We just can't guarantee that because you don't know who the governor is going to be and you don't want to know what funding is going to be cut. But Amy feels, I think, pretty close to 90% that 5 years would be very doable. Again, no promises with anything, but that's why we still think we can go 7. We made the last one go 12 years because of reductions. But those reductions are starting to catch up with us. And so after we meet with these 2, I hope to change your mind and make sure that your child is getting the education they need and that you're not going to parochial schools. And we're going to do our best to make sure that does not occur because it means a lot to us. And I appreciate your honesty and your statements.
Do you have the data that is shown available to us to take home or receive at a later date?
I can get you anything you need. Do you know which specific?
No, as you went through it honestly, and I've got a background in research, I found it hard to follow, to understand a lot of the things that were, you know, it was very quick. And
To simplify it, so.
And to understand.
Yep.
Because
Yeah, unless you're talking about it on a daily basis,
right.
you look at this
This is
and it's
not my
like
business.
reading foreign language.
Yeah.
Very much agree.
What might be helpful is to actually give you presentations from prior meetings, because tonight was actually 4 meetings in.
Okay.
So it's difficult when you haven't been part of those conversations to pick it up here, because this wasn't the in-depth as previous ones. So I can send you those, or even help you, if you want to see the actual data, I can help you on ODE or the Department of Taxation website, or anywhere you want to see it and find it.
We would be glad to work with you and put things together and have you proof it and give us feedback on still too difficult, easy. We need that type of feedback because the last thing we want to do is put stuff out and it be confusing to who we're putting it out to.
Because I think it's something that, you know, we'll want to go over at our general meetings, farms.
Well, and we'll put somebody there if you need us to.
Oh, and absolutely.
The only problem we ran into was the May dates because of
Right,
graduation.
right. But we have more meetings coming.
Yep.
I hear a lot from different people in the farms about the comments that were made tonight. So, you know, this is no surprise to me. And it really is something that I'd like to have more interaction for our board with you, is to see what, you know, what changes can be made. The comments about the kids running around in the classes, being disruptive and that. I've heard that continuously. In presentation, when the teachers were talking, I continually saw underlining everything was we've got problems in the classes, the discipline problems. I just heard it repeatedly in different presentations. It wasn't stated, but it was there. Hopefully we do something so that all the kids
And a lot of those things we are trying to address with the counselors, with adding a dean, because there is not the support. You send a kid down and an hour and a half later they're dealt with. One, the kid forgets while he's down there. We need more immediate action, more immediate feedback, and a more proactive approach to helping the child with their discipline and their learning.
But I was impressed, from what I was told tonight, about the program you've got for the children that were having a difficult time or being expelled or whatever, and went into this program where I think you said you had 40 of them that were graduating this year that were low in credits and that. I think it's fantastic, because those kids, once they get out, if they don't have a high school degree, they've really got a problem in life. And, then everything exacerbates. So.
Just to kind of give you some background and context, our elementaries, all of them are working to be proactive with that. So they do have in-house programs that have staff that really work on behavior modification so that we can fix and change behavior and not just punish it. So there are opportunities for kids to learn replacement behaviors. We have counselors, we have, they're called alternative learning placement staff, who actually, where kids go there to kind of learn a replacement behavior and go back to class so they can actually learn how to be in the class and be a productive member of the class. We have partnerships with the Children's Home, where we have therapists in every school who can work with kids who have more significant emotional issues. We have a partnership with the YWCA, where they've put staff in our 3 larger schools to work on dealing with kids who are disruptive in class and teaching them how to go back and function in the classroom. So we are working on building those proactive supports so that our teachers and students have the ability to not just deal with the issue, but fix the issues so that kids are productive in the classroom and they do meet the expectations, they do learn, and they do achieve. But we're working on building those supports.
With the redistricting that I guess has been passed, I would anticipate that we're going to have more and more problems as lower functioning kids are moved into the district.
What do you mean by redistricting?
I was told that there's a group of children being moved out of the Colerain area into the northwest area.
No, there's no such thing. When we redistrict Colerain Elementary to take out 300 kids to put them in the new schools, 90% of them went to Struble. I think PRE got 5 kids and Taylor got 8. So they got none of those kids.
Okay, but that, then as they go to middle school and then go to high school, they all merge.
Correct.
So-
Struble will go to
Right.
Colerain Middle or White Oak Middle, and then they will go to Colerain High School.
Colerain High School.
Yes.
We kept the feeders the same.
Kept the feeder systems the same. We didn't.
The same kids who were going to Buzzard Run Middle before are still going to Buzzard Run Middle now, and same for Colerain and White Oak.
Okay.
Yeah, there's been several public record requests. We've shown that only 5 kids went to PRE and about 8 or 9 went to Taylor. The rest went to Struble. And we have both of our elementaries, both currently under 900, and both schools were built for 975. The music rooms on the stage were built to be music rooms on the stage. That's why they can close the divider at the front. So I don't know how to clarify some of the information that's out there, but a lot of it is not correct.
Well, I think if we sit down and meet maybe prior to the general meeting, then we get everything answered correctly.
Yeah, or the other thing is you can advise whoever's telling you these things to give us a call. We'll pull them in our office. We'll show them where the division is.
addition to. That's a lot for taxes, levies. We
And
want
we've
that whole
always,
group to be.
we have always supported
very much.
the levies in our neighborhood.
Yes, and I've taught at different schools, and I'm still supportive of levies.
Thank you.
Thank you. So for the board, if we could pick some dates possibly, if you could go back and check your calendars. I strongly suggest we have a meeting next week because of ORC. My suggestion is a executive work session, and then board action after that work session. And then we need to look at June 6th or 10th for a resolution to decide what the millage for the tax levy would be. I am open for any night next week. It is up to you guys.
How does Wednesday, May 15th? No, no, no.
I can't do Monday, but my next graduation.
Todd, say again what it will be doing.
Okay, so for the 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th, we would have a meeting to make sure we are following Ohio Revised Code because we need to look at contracts. We need to look at 7.3, which we waived. And so if you go back and look at that, that is teacher and administrator contracts and actions that are happening. So we need to get that done because school would be out before the June 1st deadline, which by law they have to be notified. Our district contract for teachers say what they're teaching has to be out, I believe, 5 days before the end of school year. So if we could do next Wednesday at, I can do 4, 5, 6, whatever you guys want to do.
Is this a closed session or is this with the public?
At the beginning, it would be an executive work session for the board only, and then an open session for the vote to occur.
Just for the 15th.
It's your guys' board meeting. If you want it changed, let me know.
Six. Six.
Can you write this down, please? So 6 o'clock, and then we need an additional board meeting on either June 6th or June 10th. June 10th is a Monday, June 6th is a Thursday. And we need this to pass the resolution, so we,
Monday's better for me.
Monday.
Like a 5-10-minute board meeting.
Mark just said
Yes.
Monday is better, is the 10th, okay?
So we're still having the 4:30?
this is just for a resolution of necessity. This won't take over 5 minutes. We could do 7 a.m., 7:30 a.m., 8 a.m., or we could keep it in the evening.
He's retired.
I know people have to work.
The first one was the May 15th, was that at 6 o'clock?
Correct.
6 p.m., yeah.
May 15th, a Wednesday. I'm hearing Monday, June 10th is best. Would you like an AM meeting or would you like an evening meeting?
The 10th is going to be a quick one, right?
5 minutes,
5 minutes.
just to do a resolution of necessity.
Well, wait, we might do morning. Can you do morning? If it's 5 minutes?
Possibly. I don't know.
Okay.
You want to aim for 7:30 is what we've done in the past.
We can do,
10, what time?
Is it earlier better? It's 7.
Diane's looking.
7:30, maybe.
Kidding me? 7 o'clock.
7:30.
We'll have coffee, Joe.
Okay, I'm there.
I know somebody wants to sell coffee. No, 7:30, will that
I'll
work?
try. I mean, I can't guarantee anything.
Would Thursday be better? I mean, it doesn't matter.
Morning stuff.
Okay, good. Wait a minute. Are you good with that, Mark?
I'll give my best shot.
7:30 or 8?
7:30?
If you ask Joe and I, it'll be 8.
So the 10th is.
8, 8.
Fine.
8 a.m.
Okay, that's.
If you got something, but something, call me and we'll get it. We got time, Chris, to switch that around. Okay.
And if I could, I'd like to recognize Troy Godbold for staying extra tonight and making sure all the technology is working. Troy is a technician with the school district, and he's also a parent, so it is truly appreciated.
Sorry you got the one that we started late. Okay, so do we have everything?
I will send out reminders tomorrow, so we have Wednesday, May 15th at 6 o'clock.
Yes.
Yes. Yep. And then we have Monday, June 10th at 8 a.m., AO Boardroom, 8 o'clock. Still have it, yes. Nothing's changed there, so we don't need to add anything.
Okay, can I have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
The 15th. It's been moved and seconded. Anybody questions?
The 15th, will that be a working session or a full board meeting?
It'll be a work session at the beginning, and then it'll be a board meeting to vote on contracts, open board meeting after that.
The reason why I'm asking is that I believe there want to be community comments, so that's the difference between work session and a regular meeting, whether community.
I can make it any way you guys want, as long as we let them know in advance. So let's just make it a regular meeting,
That's fine. That's fine.
and that stays with our policies of what we've done.
Okay.
Oh, that's right. The one in June.
Todd, send us out reminder.
And I'll make sure there's a comment section.
Okay. Did you put to vote, Chris? Oh. Yes. We already did. You were done with something. You didn't get to it. You missed it. Joe, we're already done. Just vote, though. Motion passes 5-0. Everybody get home safe.